Hello everybody. Thank you for joining us to this session of the summer school at the AATV channel for the Architectural Association. We invite you to watch the 3 sessions we have prepared on 3 concepts that are central in our work.
These concepts are multiplicity, imperfection, and the unexpected little twist. And we will enter them through various examples from arts, music, design, cinema, photography, and architecture. We hope you will enjoy them. The unexpected little twist.
Together with multiplicity and imperfection, this is one of the concepts that is central in our work. And the best way to introduce it is via Billy Wilder, who is actually the one who said this sentence, the unexpected little twist. And this is a line that comes from a movie that is called Kiss Me Stupid. Probably not one of the best Billy Wilder's movie, but anyway, I mean, it's a Billy Wilder, so it's extremely good, where there is a moment that one of the characters introduces us to this concept, and the best would be that you see this part of the movie where he explains it, because it's very well exposed.
Give me a pickup. I'm a poached egg without a piece of toast. Yorkshire pudding without a beef to roast. I'm a haunted house that hasn't got a ghost. When I'm without you, brilliant. I'm a mousetrap without a piece of cheese. I'm Vienna without the B&E's. I'm Da Vinci without the Mona Lisa. When I'm Mona Lisa, that's what makes it irregularity, that unexpected little twist. Keep playing. It's ridiculous.
Well, we don't know if it's ridiculous, but Billy Wilder really used this unexpected little twist in many of his movies. And the whole thing is that you have a structure, in this case a structure of a story, and then suddenly in the middle of the film something happens, something unexpected, that actually changes the whole story and makes it go through a path that you could not imagine, or that you were imagining that something else would happen, and actually he turns the whole story to another side. This is something that actually happens in many other fields, and that we want to use and we use actually in our works. But before that, let's see how we find this concept in many other fields.
We'll show you a series of photographs of René Maltet where somehow the thing is that the observer completes the equation. The horizontal stripes and the vertical stripes obviously genetically make a square pattern. And that's something that it's not absolutely immediate in the photo, because we are used to seeing pictures in the kind of the immediate story that there is a couple with a child, but of course the certain sense of humor completes the picture. The same way as in this photograph, the car crash and the plastered arm tell a story. Of course, it hasn't happened in the moment of the picture taken, but we can see that the relationship between the plastered arm and the car crash is obvious. Or the election campaign, that you are the majority. Of course, the designer of the poster was thinking of another kind of public, but suddenly the photograph's eye and the situation gives a much more critical statement for the whole situation. So somehow what we are talking about is some kind of a sense of humor or way of seeing things in another way, looking out of the box. Like Pavel Puchov, a street artist who saw these reading glasses in the light pole, or this farmer who decided to give a significance to his plot, announcing that 1st of April 1780 nothing happened on this spot, which is very probable, but the point is to write it down. So somehow this place will never be the same after describing it in this way.
Or in the field of art, I mean, there are many artists who are using this other way, this other way of looking at things. But for example, one artist that we really enjoy is Marcus Reitz, who used to play with illusions, and just by taking a wire and bending it in a certain way, when you look it from one side, it's a rabbit. And when you see it from another one, in this case by a mirror, you can see another figure. But of course, it's the same element. It has obvious relationships to Magritte and to other artists. And this optical illusion is made in different ways. Sometimes with solid, sometimes with the wire. But especially for us, the most intriguing, or the one that we prefer the most of his works or of his series, is this one that it's just made with eucalyptus leaves. And actually you can see the eucalyptus leaves, but once you see the faces, the eucalyptus leaves disappear, and you can only see that this is one face looking up and one face looking down, but just because your brain has done that twist to understand that this is not just leaves, but it's something else.
Stefan Wewerka, German architect and artist, had this attitude in all of his work to question the commonly known designs and pieces. And he's playing between this field, between design and art. Here somehow what he does is to take a chair, a very common element, and of course he cuts it, he manipulates it, but then incorporating a certain reality, whether it's a mirror or whether it's a corner, our mind, our imagination complete the piece. This is a commercialized design by Wewerka, but that starts with combining pieces of different chairs and trying to find a different way of seating, which is not static, but which is symmetrical and dynamic, and creates this three-legged chair, a very interesting design, which is functional. But then again, the function is not the central part of his work, but it is this questioning of the common elements and the interior laws of the pieces that we are supposed to deal with when we are dealing with a chair. We love this Bruno Munari's series of seeking comfort in an uncomfortable chair. The world is full of objects that we use, and we have certain convention of use, but maybe it is intelligent, or maybe it is interesting, or maybe it's just playful to try to use them in another way, to use them or to see them in other ways. And for us, this unexpected little twist is about this thing of trying to find other aspects in the commonly known aspects.
Somehow, by looking for these uncommon aspects, what you do at the same time is that you get more aware of what is common. No? You understand much better the laws of things when these laws are broken. An example in music, for example, is all of Bach's songs. For example, this one, The Devil's Haircut, it's a fine example, because what you see is that Bach, what he's doing is using different structures, different melodies, Sometimes they are taken from different other songs and they are put together so that actually one song, one structure is made of many different ones, and you can see the whole, but at the same time you can see the pieces and the irregularities and the differences between one and the other. In architecture, there are many examples of this unexpected little twist that we are talking about. And they are done with humor, but they are very serious. I mean, it's a way of using humor in a very direct way to explain some concepts or some thoughts that are behind. One very fine example is the Palazzo del Tè by Giulio Romano from the 16th century, where in the outside you can already start to see things happening that are somehow strange. These triglyphs, for example, that are falling apart, they are a way to somehow announce the irrationality or the superimposition of a language, no, of the classical language, which actually is somehow talking, no, the triglyph is talking of the first temples, the Greek temples that were made in wood. Once it's made in stone, it has no sense to still put triglyphs that actually were the ends of the beams. By showing these triglyphs falling, Giulio Romano is somehow announcing what will happen then afterwards in the inside of the Palazzo del Tè, which is this chamber, the chamber of the giants, where actually here all the world of architecture gets destroyed. No, so this announcement of the triglyphs that are starting to fall down, you can then finally see the result in this crash of the language of architecture. This is something that we can see in other examples. For example, in this case, in Charlottenhof Palace by Schinkel, there is this tent room, which was actually a room for guests. And many times the guests were generals from the army. And at that time, generals of the army, when they were in a campaign, in a fight, in a battle or at war, they were in their tents. So this is a way to have these generals, that they are the representation of war, to put them in a tent, even if they are inside actually a built palace that has nothing to do with ephemeral constructions. Another architect that works very much with these unexpected moments is Edwin Lutyens, and as a very fine example, there is this hall, this inner space in the house of Little Takeham, where actually Lutyens is showing this space as if it was an exterior, an outdoor space, because as you can see, there is a balcony, and not only a balcony, but a Spanish balcony on top of a fireplace. That's very strange, because you have the fireplace and you think of where the smoke will go. So there has to be a chimney that does a strange movement to avoid the balcony on top. But at the same time, you have the balcony and you also have a terrace there at the end, and even a facade of a pavilion. So somehow what Lutyens is telling us is that, yes, you are in an interior space, but actually I give you the conditions of an exterior. So he's playing with this duality, and you don't know actually if you are inside or you are outside in a chamber that actually is the next step to go to the outside. Or another architect that works continuously with this was Charles Moore, and this is an example of one of his houses, where you can see that there happen strange things, like for example this found, or like ready found columns that they are too short, they don't reach the height that was intended, so you just add a metal piece so that they work as real columns. Or this green handrail that we see in the first in front of the picture, which is actually that one at the back, which actually it's not a handrail because it's in the wrong part of the stairs, but it looks like one and it's not completed. But when you see the space from a very certain angle, which is this one where the picture is taken, the handrail gets finished by the image that it's printed on the wall at the back.
So somehow the observations of this unexpected little twist, or the creation of these moments, is to actually stop the observer to think and to question the world around. We like to work on little experiments that are maybe outside from the actual architectural space making process. Here in this case, we were in Finland on a cold winter day, and we wanted to make this kind of a structural experiment, making a homage to Brancusi. We had these water buckets that we froze, and we laid them one on the top of the other one, creating this 100-liter ice column, and the form of the buckets give this Brancusi shape to it. This was a very ephemeral experiment because the sunny day in the end after some hours, we had a melted pond of water. But the idea of checking or testing different materials and different forms is somehow very important for us. And I think that not only for us, it's good to do things that maybe don't have maybe are not useful in themselves, but to help us to be active somehow. In this case, we're also using the temperature as structure, but in a different way. We had an extremely cold day, and what we did is we wet our pants. We soaked these jeans in cold water, and then we took them for a walk. So there is this feeling of an invisible man having a walk through the Finnish frozen fields. And this is something that it's difficult to relate it directly with our work, but we try to keep this attitude of not always being useful, or sometimes adding kind of an irrational element to it, so to get more conscious of the conditions of the rest.
In this case, this is a project that we are finishing right now. It's almost finished. And the thing is that it's a small housing block in a street that has its laws. And there was a neighbor, the one in the left, who didn't follow those laws because in the 60s they did a higher building with one more floor than the rest of the street. And to give back this neighbor, of course, we couldn't touch the neighbor. We couldn't demolish one of the floors of the neighbor to give this this idea of unity in the street. But what we did was to add an unexpected element, which is this balcony. That actually it's a balcony that is from outside to outside. It's just on the terrace of the block. But by putting that balcony, what we are doing is that we are somehow including this neighbor who had gone out of the rules. We are including it back to the unity of the street. And well, of course, the project works with many other aspects, but in this case, in relation to the unexpected little twist, that was basically the thing. The project, it's almost finished, and we will finish it very soon.
So somehow architecture being a very serious field, because we are dealing with serious amounts of efforts. We anyway think that it's very important to somehow apply a certain sense of humor and a certain, how would I say, Dada attitude that is very common or very much in the way of doing things of the Monty Python and their flying circus. We very much invite you to revise the chapters of the Monty Python's flying circus. So this thing of turning sometimes the world upside down or doing things that don't have any any meaning of weight, but can make us conscious of some things that otherwise would pass in front of us without noticing.